Hello, everyone. Good morning, Sandrine. Oops. Good morning, Opie. I am waiting for Mr. Thomas, Stephen Thomas, to jump on board, everyone. Sending a text out. I hope he's not having technical difficulties like we did yesterday. For those of you that are just getting on, I am still waiting for Stephen Thomas to get on. I've sent out a text. And now it's not our new office. This is the lobby of HomeSmart International in Scottsdale. Okay, I'm going to mute myself and go off video. Let me call and find out if Mr. Thomas is having trouble logging in. Hold on a moment. Just a moment. avatar.
Sorry about that. I
Hello.
was having a bit of an issue
I think
getting
you're
in.
muted.
Am I muted? It says that I'm not muted. Can you hear me?
Still showing. Let me see if well, it's on my end, you're showing that you're unmuted, but we can't hear you.
Let me, I don't know, that's weird.
Let me do this. Still are not hearing
There
you.
we go. Can you hear me now? Hello? That's weird. I'll log out, log back in, and see if it fixes it. Okay, give me a second.
Oh, I guess everybody else can hear you but me.
Oh.
Hold on a second.
Leave.
Let me figure out why I can't hear you.
I was about to leave because it says yellow. Maybe your volume's down? Can you hear me now? Kelly, check your speaker.
Yeah, I can't hear you. And every time I try to click to unmute you. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I'll figure out on my end how I can hear you. I'm gonna do a brief introduction to everybody. And I'll try to read lips best I can while you're talking. But thank you so much for doing this for our agents. We're so excited to hear from you. For those of you that haven't had the opportunity to hear Stephen Thomas, and I'm sort of switching screens around here. Let me give you a little bit of an introduction of who he is. He is the founder of Reports on Housing. And Reports on Housing was started in 2004 as a way to communicate what buyers, sellers, and real estate professionals were experiencing in the trenches, tracking demand, inventory, distressed homes, and market data at both the county and city levels. Stephen Thomas, a California real estate broker with decades of real estate experience and a degree in quantitative economics and decision sciences from the University of California, San Diego, developed Reports on Housing and is considered an expert in real estate housing trends. Reports on Housing has been utilized and quoted by the Orange County Register, LA Times, the San Diego Tribune, the Wall Street Journal, Fortune, USA Today, Bloomberg, ABC, CBS. It goes on and on and on. Radio, internet, blogs, everything. So we have a real expert to deliver some fantastic information that will empower all of our agents, all of you, to go out and work your business the best way you can in these extraordinary times that we are going through with COVID-19. So take it away, and I'm going to figure out how I can hear you.
All righty, so let's go ahead and begin. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see, where are we? There we are. So here we go. San Diego County housing update. And as you know, the market is really hot, a lot hotter than what a lot of people had thought it would be by now. But let's get into all the information. But first, I'm going to start off with some spring fun photos. So it's just some pictures that I like to share. First of all, this is of course how we're doing Zoom. I'm wearing shorts and slippers right now. It's still morning, and then it will change to sandals later on today. So this is exactly how I am living through my Zoom calls. So these are actual MLS photos. These MLS photos are taken from the MLS photos that we take as an industry. Websites are devoted to making fun of what we do, and then I, in turn, have stripped them off of those websites. So this begs the question as to why people don't use professional photographers. And definitely don't stick some guy in a hot tub and take a photo of him and put him in MLS. That's an MLS violation, by the way, for us in Southern California. And this is the Alfred Hitchcock picture. Definitely, when you come across these pictures that you take that don't turn out right, probably shouldn't put them up. Looks scary. And then we have this wonderful thing. It's a haunted house, or this is a hoarder's house. We don't take pictures of this kind of stuff because now I don't want to move there. I don't want to live there. Or this picture, or the Photoshop that we don't know how to use. So some of us try to use it, and it looks like somebody used whiteout for the walls as well as these stools. Unbelievable, but definitely not very good at Photoshop. And if you remember when we took our tests for real estate license, this is called functional obsolescence, the bathroom in the middle of a room. Or how about this one? Another bathroom in the middle of the room, probably a studio or just a tiny little one bedroom place, but still put something up so that there's some privacy there. It's a moment I don't want to share with anybody. And this is awesome. Look at the chandelier. It looks like candy. And yes, there are ugly houses that are out there. Look at the carpet there. This is another ugly house. It's not the same one. And this is creepy. A lot of creepy dolls, and harkens to the days of Twilight Zone. I remember talking to Tina, so I don't want to purchase this home either. Please pack up the dolls and put them in the attic. And then you got this scary picture of a clown staring down at any kid that is sleeping on that bed. How about here? Live here, walk to Walmart and McDonald's. How cool is that? I guess that's it. That is an attribute of this particular house. Or this helpful arrow. By the way, the listing that I have is right over here. It's right there. So this was local. This is actually somebody that I knew that did this. Free toilet paper with purchase of house. I thought genius. I think this is great. So I'm a quantitative economics and decision sciences major. Went to UC San Diego, right there in La Jolla. So I grew up in South Orange County, and I used to travel right through Carlsbad. I actually lived in Carlsbad for a year after I graduated from college. 29 years in the business, Orange County native, Capitol Valley High School grad, 9 kids. I'm an avid runner. Yes, I do have 9 kids. I brought 6. My wife brought 2. I adopted hers. She adopted mine. And then we had this bonus guy. Right now, underneath of the Thomas compound, we have 6 of the 9 kids. The 2 up the upper right are actually sharing they're renting together. And then the one below, my daughter, our daughter, is living on his own as well. They're older. And we also got a dog during this COVID-19 lockdown. So my background is I've also been given everything to the Orange County Register, and subsequently I've ended up all over the place. I have a pretty good relationship with the San Diego Tribune. I wish they'd use my stuff more like Orange County and LA does, because the storyline during the pandemic was the wrong storyline that the real estate beat writers were writing about. And closed sales data is what we normally get in reports, and that is a reflection of the rearview mirror. And it's like, I don't really want to know what's going on in the past. I can't really drive my car looking in the past. I want to know not what closed last month. During our last month, they did April, and April's going to look dismal. So is May, and April's a reflection of February, March, and April, and that's all in the past. I want to look out the windshield, and the windshield will let us know exactly where we're at. It's active inventory, that's supply, and demand, that's the last 30 days worth of pending sales. That's the velocity. On that, we have a statistic called expected market time. Place your home on the market now today. When are you going to go into escrow? And it's very right on. Is exactly what you're feeling in your city, as well as overall in the different price ranges. And I'm not a fan of days on market, never have been. And that is why I came up with this when I was a real estate agent myself from 1991 to 2003. And I did it to let sellers know exactly what to expect in the marketplace. Um, my reports are used for the listing presentation to get a differentiator in the listing presentation. It also gets them price reductions. It gets buyers off the fence and into escrow. Right now, people think that the market should be behaving differently than it is right now, and that is why the report helps set those expectations as to what they should be prepared for in the marketplace. And that's what it's about, expectations, buyers, sellers. It gives you the ability to go out and to tell everybody what's going on in the marketplace. You have the power because you have the data. So you go to reportsonhousing.com, click on subscribe, and it's $15 per month or $150 per year. You know what? This is one of the things. In Orange County, we have over 2,000 subscribers, and that's because I've been doing it for such a long time. Since I have the data going back to 2004, but it monetized it in 2011, have over 2,000 subscribers, and they swear by it. It's in just about every listing presentation has the report. And if you go up against somebody that doesn't have the report, it's a total differentiator. You get a month free if you sign up using the coupon code Carlsbad. I did that for you guys. So the FAQ and sample reports section, you can see, test drive exactly what I'm talking about in the San Diego County Housing Report. You can see how I speak and how this report is not like some of the other data aggregators that you can get there, like Altos Research or anything like that. That's not what I'm about. I'm about explaining what's going on in the marketplace. And you explain it using layman's terms, not just charts and graphs and stats. So the stats and charts and all that stuff should back up what you're talking about. And at the bottom of every report, so if you sign up today, you get the one that came out for you guys 2 days ago on Tuesday. And there's a PDF version of the report. There's a Microsoft Word version of the report for copy, cut, edit, paste. PDF is for printing it out. You can make it a part of your newsletter, postcards. You can send it out in MailChimp or Constant Contact. There's Excel spreadsheets. There is an excerpt for blogs, Facebook, your social media, websites. And then there's a lot of charts we're updating with every single report. Those are all the links at the bottom of the email that we send to you. So you sign up for the last one, you get the current one. And it came out on Monday, like I said. It comes out every 2 weeks. Now, what I do is LA, Orange County, and San Diego come out this week, then Riverside and San Bernardino come out next week, and I alternate weeks, so I'm not doing 5 reports in 1 week. Instead, I'm doing 3 this week, 2 next week. And that's where I have reports now for LA, OC, Riverside, San Bernardino, and San Diego. So if you have, let's say, a listing that's off of Murrieta, you can get a report on a monthly basis, sign up for it, and then cancel it, and just keep the San Diego house. So this is what the reports have looked like this year. We started off with no supply, a very low supply. We actually placed the same number of homes pretty much within, around 5%, within 5%, placing the same number on. Yet at the beginning of this year, we had the lowest level of homes on the market since 2013, so it's the second lowest. So you have to understand the reason for that was because we were placing everything into escrow because we had interest rates at 3.75% to start off the year. So it was gangbusters, and it was rocketing forward at the beginning of the year. We had a hot seller's market. By the way, San Diego has been the hottest market, except San Bernardino is now duking it out with San Diego. You guys are tied with San Bernardino, but you guys have notoriously been the hottest market of the 5 counties. And you guys were a hot sellers market right as soon as we hit Super Bowl on, and it was really, really hot. And then we had housing and the coronavirus. That was the beginning of March. I saw in the data through February that it looks like that there's enough coming out that it hadn't affected our numbers yet, but there is going to be an interruption to daily life. And COVID-19 cracks, by the time we got to middle of March, I was seeing the cracks of COVID-19 in demand. Demand started to fall. And then we had this showdown. We got very, very low supply. That favors sellers and very, very low demand, which favors buyers, and they were duking it out. And we actually had inherent demand. So the inherent demand is what we would get, regardless of what kind of market we're going to have, we're still going to have a marketplace. Then I had broad market interruptions. Mid-April was the absolute bottom of how slow things got. And then from there, it was like this pause. And it was not just affecting demand, it was affecting sellers and the number of homeowners coming on the market. Then we started to see demand rising at the beginning of May. And then we saw a V-shaped recovery. And then the one that just came out that you'll get if you sign up is hotter than last year. And we explain and show how it's hotter than last year. So the housing debrief, there it is. I do that. It's on Facebook, and I do a Facebook Live, and it's on my personal Facebook page, not my business, but my personal one. And the reason for that is because I get a larger audience. It's at SoCal Steven. I actually make it public, so you don't have to be my friend. As a matter of fact, I already have 5,000 friends. I can't have any more friends. Facebook limits the number of friends that you can have. And so, now we got to talk about coronavirus. And these are actually numbers as of yesterday. I've been updating these like every other day. The reason is I've been updating them. I was updating them daily because it made a difference. We just know that it's there. It's huge. Around the world, there's 6.3 million cases. The closest behind us is Brazil. They're having a real issue at 526,000. And this is the world. The world, as you could see, is actually going up in terms of numbers of cases on a daily basis. And the reason for that is because the southern hemisphere is coming online as they move closer and closer towards winter. They're right now in their autumn, and they're moving towards winter. That will come June 20th when we start our summer. And for the United States, yesterday, 1.8 million. Check this out. So LA County, New York, these are the different counties. You can see them on the left. And those are the most impacted counties. And of course, New York is number 1. Cook County is number 2. Look at this. LA, number 3. And it is rising. It's probably going to end up passing up Cook County and will be the second worst area behind New York City. And that is just because of the number of cases that are hitting LA. They're right now hitting 1,000 per day in Los Angeles. And this is what the United States looks like. You can see it looks jagged, but it looks like it's going down, right? So I have another site that I go to. It does show that it's going down, but it's kind of plateaued. It'll continue to go down, but slowly. This isn't like some other countries that we've seen out there, and I'll get into that in a minute. So yeah, we've beaten the curve as far as hospitalizations are concerned, but we're not mindful enough to stop the spread. So the spread is still happening in the United States, and it is slowly diminishing rather than swiftly diminishing. And we're doing a lot better in testing, a lot better. We had 4% a couple days ago, the number of positives, and that is the threshold you want to be. You want to be below 5%. The closer you get down towards 2%, the better off you are, and below 5% is where you need to be. So we're finally below that number. We're at 4% positives. We were bouncing around 20% positives, and what that meant is 1 out of every 5 people we were testing were positive, which means we were only testing people that we thought had it. The people that had sore throats and coughs and they'd go get tested, 1 out of every 5 had it. So now we're doing about 1 out of every 20 have it. And that's what you want, so that you get a broader depiction of what's really going on as far as the spread of coronavirus. So we want to see that threshold continue. Hospitalizations, you can see, are way down where we are at today, or actually as of a couple days ago, and it should be diminishing hospitalizations by the time we get to August and through the summer. And this is the first wave of COVID-19. They talk about the second wave coming in the fall, winter months. We'll have to see. No one really knows. This is Germany. I call them the gold standard. They have 83 million. We have 350 million. They are doing things right in Germany because they learned from the United States, the United Kingdom. They watched what happened in South Korea, came up with their own game plan, and did a really good job. They're opening up their economy again at a better rate. As a matter of fact, their restaurants are starting to fill up. South Korea is the absolute best gold standard. The reason why they had their act together and had all the proper, the ability to test so fast, and the ability for PPE, to have PPE on hand, and all of the contact tracing, is because they had it down. 5 years ago, they had an outbreak. 10 years ago, they had an outbreak. So because they had these outbreaks, they have a system in place for taking care of a problem that occurs. We did not. We were not prepared. We got caught, but South Korea was ready. So they have a population of 52 million, a little bit more than larger than California, and that is not the way California's curve looks. So keep in mind what that looks like. But they have had an reinfection rate, and it's actually starting to go up a little bit in South Korea, and that's because people become a little lackadaisical the further you get away from the start of the outbreaks. And they just go back to normal life, and that's where you start to see infections go up. They jump all over it in South Korea. This is a stat from Statista, and basically it just shows you what happened. If you look here on the very right-hand side, numbers started to go up a little bit. And the reason the numbers started going up a little bit is because they started relaxing some of the standards. One of them was bar hopping and nightclubs. They opened up all the nightclubs to people, and then there was one guy that had COVID-19, went to 5 different nightclubs and infected 119 people. They ended up positive. They had to test 7,200 people, and 119 people ended up with COVID-19 because of this initial one patient. And that's what the contract tracing can do. So they shut down nightclubs the following week. So now there's no nightclubs because one person that had COVID-19 infected so many people. And this is Hawaii, also the gold standard, but they only have a little population, 1.4 million people. You have to understand they're also an island. So they had a really good standard. And the reason for that is because they said anybody coming in has to quarantine for 2 weeks. So if you wanted to travel to their little island for a vacation, you first had to quarantine for 2 weeks in your hotel before you can go out in public. And then California, this is what California's looks like. And this is a 7-day moving average. So normally it looks nice and smooth. Well, check it out. This does not look smooth, and it's going in the wrong direction, as you can see. And the reason for that is because California just doesn't look right? There are certain, pockets of dense areas that are being infected. And this is actually old, 115, it's now at 120,000 coronavirus facts. Just know that in Southern California, if you line up all of California cases from the most infected down to the least, then the top 5 are all in Southern California. San Diego is number 3 at 7,500. Pales in comparison to LA, which accounts for about half of all positives in the state of California. So talking about unlocking, so we're unlocking now. We're going to start to go back to church. I was born and raised Catholic, and we're going to go back to Catholic church in a week. We're actually going to continue to Zoom. And the reason we're going to do that is because they only allow 100 people in there at one time. So that is, it got challenged, went up to the Supreme Court, and the challenge was squashed, and the governor can continue to limit the number of churchgoers until we get a total handle on COVID-19. NHL is coming back. I just read that the NBA is coming back as well. They haven't updated that. And then we have malls are opening back up, and then you can get haircuts again. My wife has been doing my hair. She's done a fantastic job. I'm not going back to the barber because it's actually it's one of the hot spots it's like nightclubs for the high risk of COVID-19 spread. Just know that. As well as not bars, but restaurants have opened up, and there's social distancing and different protocols that are going in. So as far as reopening is concerned, 37% wanted to reopen as fast as we could, restarting the economy, but 57% want to be very mindful of controlling the spread. And are you now willing to go to stores, restaurants, and other public places? 40% said yes, 58% said no, too early. And this was actually a statistic that I pulled off of Statista on Tuesday. And the most likely states to wear masks, Hawaii is one of them. California is another one. So is New Jersey and New York. It's all the places that have been hit really hard. So macroeconomic outlook, before the coronavirus, everything looked absolutely spectacular. And then there's after the disease, everything looked really bad. All the charts are coming in. They look like waterfalls or spikes if they're unemployment. And this is unemployment. This is actually as of this morning. It's at 42 million. That is the number aggregate of, and that's counting up each initial unemployment claim. So you're hearing 42 million. That's not the true unemployment right now. It's still really high, but it's not the true unemployment. This is the continued claims up from the prior week. And where we're at right now is 21 million. So there are 21 million people across the United States that are unemployed. Keep in mind that a lot of these are furloughed. And the number that were furloughed were thought to be 90%, but the longer we're going on and we're seeing how it's going to be more of a U-shaped recovery, it's more like 75% is now projected to come back online, which would put the unemployment at around between 5 and 6 million. That would be the continued unemployment claims. Because you can see where we're at right here, where we were at a little bit over 1 million. It's going to put it above that 5 million threshold down the road when we come back online. Consumer confidence took a plunge in the month of March and April. Totally expected. Expect it to be pretty similar in May. But you have to understand, because of that, retail sales have plummeted. And also they plummeted because you can't go normal shopping, and things are coming back online. So we'll have to continue to watch what happens with retail sales. But here's something that is interesting. Personal savings hit 33% in the month of April. That was a spike that we've never seen before. And that means that a lot of people were getting extra money because of unemployment benefits. They were making more money, and where they were sticking it is they weren't spending it, they were actually saving it. So now banks are flush with cash that they hadn't ever seen before, and that's because people are saving their money. Rather than saving, we want to see them consuming, because consumption is 69% of GDP. And because first quarter of 2020, we were down 5% the GDP, and that was actually revised down to 5%. And that was only about 3 weeks of negative numbers for the month of March brought down all of GDP for the first quarter of 2020, because we were running on all cylinders prior to that. And they project that the unemployment for the second quarter, which we're in the midst of right now, will be down 30%. I've even heard stats where it will be 40%. It'll be unprecedented, because what we did is we had a forced shutdown of the economy in order to save lives. So we did the right thing, and then the third quarter will look really positive, and the third quarter starts in July. So understand that this stuff's going to be negative. Understand that 2 quarters is a recession. We are in the midst of a recession. I like to refer to it as a pandession, not a recession. And the reason for that, it was a pandemic-led recession, not one industry that was bad or a bubble that affected the overall economy. That's not what happened here. It was a pandemic. And as far as forbearance is concerned, there are a lot of people that are in forbearance. Forbearance, the real term was at the end of the term of forbearance that you're going to pay off whatever payments you skipped. That is not what the term is any longer. Now, instead, we have forbearance. The government said all government-backed loans there will be not a balloon payment at the end. Instead, you will work out a payment plan with your servicer or lender, and a payment plan, or it will be deferred to the end of the loan. A lot of these will just be deferred to the end of the loan. So if you go and sell, you need to ask them if they were in forbearance. If they were in forbearance, ask them what they did with the money that they owed. Because if they owed $500,000 and they had a forbearance of $20,000, that goes at the end, their payoff would be $500,000, right? But they also have that $20,000. On the net sheet, they have to pay off their $500,000. They also have to pay back that $20,000 they deferred. It is not excused. They have to pay it. So now they have 520. So 520,000 have to go on that net sheet. So we have to ask them about forbearance. 8.5% of all loans across the United States are in forbearance. A larger portion is FHA and VA, because 11.8% of all FHA and VA are in some sort of forbearance rate. So, and then that $600 per week unemployment check that everybody's been receiving is actually going to end at the end of July. And they've talked about another package going forward. It's going to incentivize people to go back to work, because right now, the incentive is to stay unemployed. There are people that are actually ticked that they have to go back to work. And the reason for that is there are some jobs where they're making double what they are. The average for like Maine is 130% of what they made prior to being unemployed. And if you drill down all the way to California, you see California at the bottom, where everybody's almost made whole. So gosh, why would you want to go back to work if you could just watch Netflix all day? So that is part of the issue that we're grappling with right now, is a lot of people are incentivized to stay on unemployment, so and not go back to work. So when is the recovery going to happen? Well, it all depends upon what happens with COVID-19. Nobody knows. Everybody could say, wow, it's going to be an awesome third and fourth quarter and first quarter of 2021. My projections are we're going to have boom quarters in the fourth quarter of 2020 and the first quarter of 2021, but it's only if we play our cards right. Because right now what it's looking like is a U-shaped recovery. It's going to be slowly but surely like a dimmer switch coming back on. We've got to play our cards right. We've got to realize that there's still a virus that's out there, and there's still a second wave that we're talking about. Good golly, we've got to take care of that to make sure that that second wave doesn't impact us down the road. Because it's still a World War III that we're fighting right now, and that is this invisible enemy called the virus. And why do I care about it so much as an economist? That we play our cards right? Because if we have a reinfection rate, we have to do this all over again where we have to lock down, that's going to be an issue. We're going to have a W-shaped recovery. No bueno. No bueno, because the second time that we would lock down, that would actually affect housing, because this first time did not affect housing. And then down the road, hopefully, when we play our cards right, we'll be talking about America's back. So when does that happen? Well, I can tell you, housing, it's already happening. We're a pillar of strength. This has nothing to do with the housing sturdiness of 2008 and 2007, 2006. That was an absolute tragedy where we used our houses as piggy banks, subprime loans, pick-up payment plans. People didn't really qualify for loans, yet they got it because of fraud. Dead people, dogs got loans. It was just a dumb time for lending and real estate. But now we're at a pillar of strength. Why? Because we actually had to qualify for loans. We weren't using our houses as piggy banks. There's a lot of real solid nested equity. And what that means is equity that you could draw from. If you lost your job, you could sell your house, you actually have equity. You're not going to be upside down, or it's not going to be a flood of distress. And if you look at this is the purchase index. So the mortgage purchase index it says up 9% year over year. I got to update this. It's actually up like 18% year over year. So I'll be updating as well for my housing debrief for tomorrow. But San Diego housing market, let's get into it. What I'm looking for down the road is I'm always looking at what's happening with the supply changes, active inventory, stuff that you can show your buyers that they're able to purchase today. Demand changes. What's going on with demand? Numbers of homes coming on the market. I'm looking at how many homes are coming on the market right now. That's a very important metric to watch. So I'm looking at supply and demand. At the very beginning of the year, we had a lot of demand and very little supply favor sellers. And then we had low supply but low demand, which kind of created the balance. Then we got to, again, where we're at today. We'll get into that. So during COVID-19, we had very, very low supply favoring sellers, very, very low demand favoring buyers, and it was this absolute showdown. It was a knock it out showdown of between buyers and sellers. So it didn't mean that we were going to strip value away from housing. The active inventory, I don't know why my yellow arrow just did that. I didn't adjust it properly. Apologize for that. But the active inventory is to the right of where it's pointing. You can see where it ends. And it's actually down. It was down 4% in 2 weeks. Last Thursday, I did the numbers. 5,122 homes on the market. Last year, we were at 7,196. The difference between this year and last year is between those orange and blue lines. It's 40% more last year. Today, we're at 5,020. That's down 2%. We're going the wrong direction. Typically, where we go right now is from the spring to midsummer. We continue to slowly but surely add more and more listings, and demand begins to diminish because we're into graduations, there's a lot of vacations, but our spring was punted further down the road. And that punt that we did it allowed this spring market to resume from where we left off. The last time we had inventory this low was May of 2013. This is a very, very low inventory. As a matter of fact, I bring this up and I do it on my debriefs because I want to shake the trees of homeowners. We need more sellers to come online right now. We need them to see the big picture. In 2007, we had 20,000 homes on the market in San Diego County. I don't know why it says -2%, because I was copying the one beforehand. Just ignore that. It was 20,000 homes on the market back in 2007. That's way more than where we're at. That's nearly 4 times as many homes as what we have right now. And I'm showing you Orange County because my data for the macro areas of San Diego County only goes back to 2012. But I know what happened in 2007, snapped the numbers way back when, and San Diego had 20,000 homes on the market. Way, way, way too many. And here we are. This is where we are at right now in the year 2020. You can see this was 2006, 16,000. 2007, 18,000. That's where you guys had 20,000. In 2008, 16,000. And the difference between where demand is, that's the green area, to the active inventory, the difference was huge. We had way more homes on the market compared to where demand was. And you flash forward to 2013, and the supply was so darn low. It was the lowest, and it was sitting right on top of the demand curve. That was a recipe for, gosh, it was really, really hard to do transactions back then because they were flying off the shelves so darn fast that sellers thought that they didn't get enough and they could have got more. And then you have this. This is where we are today. You can see it's very, very small still. Very, very different than where we were prior to the Great Recession and during the Great Recession. So we had inherent demand back in the Great Recession. Yes, at the beginning of COVID-19, we had inherent demand, but it subsequently has gone up since then. But their buyers are right. We did have inherent demand for a day. But the inventory was the real story. Do you see how much more inventory there was? If you draw that line across, you see a lot of white space. It's way too many. And oops, somebody's asking if this will be recorded. I'm hoping that it is. I can't tell from my end if it's being recorded.
Yes, it will be recorded.
Oh, awesome. Excellent. You can hear me now.
I can. Silly me, it was my computer volume.
That's funny. It is being recorded. You have to go to an appointment. So this is where we're at. You can see way fewer homes on the market. You can't compare Great Recession numbers to today. You can't compare that market to this market. It is totally, completely different for many, many different reasons. And so buyers, we're all hoping for 10% or 20% or 30% off. That just was not going to happen. I'm so sorry, it's not going to happen. I had agents telling me it's going to drop like 10%, 20% the next 90 days. And I said, no, it's not. And I explained why. It's not the Great Recession. Not, absolutely. We like to think it's like the last recession that we had, but there were actually the 5 most recent recessions, only 2 out of the 5 affected the housing market. And those were led by housing. The savings and loan scandal of the latter 80s bled into the 90s, and then the Great Recession that was awful for housing because it was a massive bubble. We're not in a bubble right now, and housing was doing well beforehand. So the active listing inventory, the number of homes that were placed on the market from last Thursday to the prior 4-week period, I snapped those numbers and I looked at it, and where we're at right now, the number of homes coming on the market is down 25%. So we're down 25%. It's just, we're not placing enough homes on the market. We need to bring that number up back to 0% and actually up a little bit more, because right now the fuel tank is empty as far as the active listing inventory is concerned. Ask buyers. You guys know, you're showing properties. There's not enough homes on the market to show all the buyers that want to purchase something right now. So COVID-19 is absolutely still suppressing supply. So there is an absolute supply problem versus a demand problem. I'm so sorry, little girl. We can't buy your lemonade because of COVID-19 and you don't have a mask on, you're not wearing gloves, you don't have a little sign on your door that says that you're taking all the necessary protocol for COVID-19. So COVID-19 is suppressing demand, or is it? Because guess what happened? Starting about, let's see, 2, 4, 6 weeks ago, I started seeing demand starting to wake up. And then it began to sprint. And that's where we're at right now. We're sprinting. This is looking like a V, isn't it? It's the only area of the economy, that and mortgage purchase applications, that looks like a V. That's where we're at right now. It is a V-shaped recovery. This is where we're at, and it's very close to last year. Last Thursday, we were at 3,123. That was up 23% in 2 weeks, up 69% in 4 weeks. So we were hitting the bottom, that inherent demand, at the very, very bottom of this thing. And subsequently, since then, actually has gone way up. Last year, we were at 3,255 at this time. It says up 30% more. That is actually wrong. I didn't do the math on that. I apologize for not updating all these slides. I thought I had them updated, but I had OC and LA and San Bernardino updated in Riverside County. It just wasn't San Diego, so I apologize for that. It's just up a few percent. As a matter of fact, right now, today, we're at 3,318. That's up 6% from last Thursday. Check this out. That's more than where we were at last year. We've crossed that orange line from last year. Right now, that is as of today, and I don't crunch the numbers for another week. And I imagine when we do it that we're going to be crossing that green line, which was 2 years ago. And that was 2018. It was a good spring market. And we're headed towards 2017, which was really hot. The last time that we had demand at 3,318 actually surpasses this year. I have to go back to May of 2019 to hit that kind of demand. And it's only going to get stronger so that I can compare it to maybe 2 years ago. That's where demand is heading. It's actually hotter than anywhere we've been so far. San Diego County is hitting it on all cylinders. Like I said, San Bernardino is too. You guys are hotter than where you were prior to the COVID-19 lockdown. It is a V-shaped recovery for sure. COVID-19 is suppressing demand. Is it? No, it's no longer suppressing demand. The San Diego County expected market time. So this is taken into consideration inventory and demand. And if you place your home on the market today, when can you expect to open up escrow? Sellers are asking it all the time. We also need to show our buyers this so they understand two things. What is happening in their city, which the report drills down to all the different cities, also takes San Diego and strips it, has the giant San Diego city, but it also strips all the different areas so that you guys can see what's happening in the various areas because it's just way too big. LA does the same thing. It is the most obnoxious size of a city I've ever seen. But you could see that the expected market time is absolutely dropping like a rock. This is where we are. Last Thursday was at 49 days, well below last year's level and actually below 2018. The reason for that is maybe demand hasn't quite eclipsed 2018 yet, but inventory is so low that it is making it hotter out there because we just have a lack of supply. Last year, we were at 66 days at this time. That's that orange line. And today, if I take into consideration what I told you today's inventory is and today's supply demand, it's at a 45-day expected market time. That is hot. And it's only getting hotter. We're going to get down towards that 40-day expected market time. You can see that's 2017, and 2017 was hot in all of San Diego. And that's where we're headed. March 5th, we were at 43 days. So we're almost at expected market time where we were at prior to COVID-19. It is knocking on the door. So buyer's market, no, don't get to take your time, picking the fruit slowly. You gotta be in your starting blocks and ready to go. And that's extremely important. Balanced market, no, that's not what it is. You know what? We're creating a seller's market. We can sell lemonade. We can sell houses again. Why? Because we have the proper PPE. We have masks. We have gloves. We have social distancing. We're doing all the right things. We can sell lemonade again. So pretty darned awesome. And Riverside County, San Bernardino County, and San Diego County are all hot sellers markets. I mean, it is really hot. Anything below 60-day expected market time is hot, and you're well below 60 days. That means that in many, many price ranges, you guys are casting your nets. If it's priced right and looks really nice, you cast your net, you're getting multiple offers right now on your properties. So we've adapted. We know that you have to have signs on the door. You have to contact everybody with contracts and all that stuff. You know what? We're willing to do it in order to get a whole bunch of fish in the net. And we've adapted as a real estate organization. The big bad COVID-19 wolf cannot blow down our housing market made out of brick. The one from the one from the Great Recession was made out of hay. So stop comparing it to that housing market. The expected market time in Carlsbad right now, actually this was as of last Thursday, it's only going to get stronger, but Carlsbad is at 54 days. On March, I think it's March 5th, yes, March 5th, we were at 46 days. So you can see, almost there, it'll be there by the time it gets to next Thursday. In Oceanside, we were at 41-day expected market time. Last year was at the beginning of March, 40 days. Vista is at 38 days. In March, 34. Encinitas is at 107. In March was at 54. San Marcos is at 47 days. In March, 33. And Ranch Santa Fe is at 192 days and was at 163 days. So you can see, not quite there, but we're almost getting there. And then another question, does San Diego have a, you know what, I'll get into these. Keep on putting up your Q&A, and I'll get to those at the end so that I'm not, so that I can get through this slide deck and get onto the Q&A, because we're getting closer towards the end of this presentation, so I can take your questions and answers. And understand that it's a hot seller's market below 60, you're below it. There's a slight buyer's market, it's above 120. It's actually, you have to be in a deep buyer's market, which is off this chart. It's at 150 days. We're not even close to that in San Diego. San Diego has been the hottest. You guys didn't even make it into balanced market. You're the only one that were almost made it into balanced market and then did an about face as demand started to tick up. So balanced market doesn't favor buyers or sellers. Slight seller's market, which is where Orange County and LA still are, it's favoring sellers. They get to call more of the shots, but values aren't going up much. And the closer you get to 60, values start going up. But once you get below 60, values are rising. Because when you have multiple offers, you pit them against each other, somebody is willing to stretch a little bit, especially with interest rates at 3%. And that's what's going on. The low mortgage rate environment is the jet fuel that is propelling us forward. And this was taken as of this morning. This is the Freddie Mac does this primary mortgage market survey across the United States. And what they've come up with, this is as of June 4th, 3.18%. Last week was a record at 3.15%. We're at 3.18%. So it's basically, I've actually done some searching around. You can get 3% mortgage rates if you hunt around a little bit. So 3% mortgage rates actually exist. These are record low rates. We've never seen them at 3% before. But keep in mind that the 10-year treasury, the stock market's been doing well, has actually been on the rise. It's at 0.8. It was hovering around 0.6, and now is at 0.8. Prior to the COVID-19, and why am I bringing up 10-year U.S. treasury? Because it tells you what's going on with the 30-year mortgage, which is what we all care about. On the very left, you can see it says December. That is where we had 5% interest rates in the very left. And then 2019 hit, and you could see they kept on going down interest rates until in September, they bottomed out at 3.5%. So they were way up here and they came way down, and then they went back up to 3.75%. That is when we started to hammer out a deal with China. That was good news, and we got the 10-year treasury. People didn't have an appetite for it as much because there was good news. When you have good news, 10-year treasury goes up for the economy. When you have bad news, it goes down. And then all of a sudden, we hit in February, it dropped like a rock. And then we locked down our society, and then it dropped below 1%. It was gnarly how fast and swift it dropped. And now we're starting to go back up. We need to be above 1 for this thing to be where we were before. But you have to understand it's improving. And you look at the spread, and the spread between the 10-year treasury, this is why you don't have to contact a lender. If I teach you one thing, it's this. All you have to do is look at the 10-year treasury and where it's at today, and it'll tell you where mortgages are headed. So when they dropped, we knew that mortgages could go down. This is the average. Interest rates when we were at 0.6 should have been, below 2.5%. They should have been, but they weren't. They were all the way up at 3.25, or right around there. At one point, they were even higher. They were at 3.75%. It was such a big gap, but this gap is starting to narrow. This gap we're getting more towards 1, and it should be right around 3%, and it's getting there. And why did this happen? Because there was a capacity issue. They couldn't handle all of the new product that was coming in, but secondly, and more importantly, it was broken under the hood. Servicers were no longer had an appetite to service loans. That's a very important piece. There's a lot of other pieces that were broken that the government didn't step out and fix, and they said they took a let's wait and see attitude, and that's actually the U.S. Treasury, not the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve's doing everything in their power. The Treasury is hemming and hawing at what they're willing to do. So we should have had interest rates that were even lower, which would have fueled even more demand, which we actually don't need in our case here as far as housing is concerned. So the market overview is this. Check out this chart. This is what I call a menu, and this menu shows you where we are hottest. And you can see where we are hottest is between $500,000 and $750,000 in San Diego County as an expected market time of 26 days. That anything below 30 is absolutely on fire. Below $500,000 for condos is on fire. Everything below 60 is hot. So that 750 to 1 million, pretty darn hot. You guys are even hot from $1 to $1.25 million, which is unbelievable. So if you have something at $1.1 million that's priced right, looks right, you're going to get multiple offers on that thing. So like I said, San Diego is the hottest county. It doesn't really slow down until you're above 2 million, and above 4 million, it is just as cold as ice. But it is thawing out. It is getting better. Or luxury is actually surpassing my expectations, as is how quickly demand has come back. And if you look at this low mortgage rate environment, 3.15%, holy cow, compare that to 5% interest rates in November of 2018, and you're saving for a $700,000 loan, $750 per month, which is $9,000 per year. And if you wonder why people are flocking to purchase right now, it's because affordability has improved dramatically. Interest rates impact on affordability. You can see with $3,000 per month desired jumbo mortgage payment at 5%, you're looking at about a $700,000 house. Now today, you're looking at about an $890,000 house. Your buying power went through the roof because interest rates, as they dropped, it dropped 2% just about. And now you're looking at way bigger of a home. And all that you did is waited for a better interest rate. And payments prior to the Great Recession. So everybody likes to compare it prior to the Great Recession. So I did this little bad boy, and you can see that $875,000 purchase price with $700,000 loan. The difference in payments between today and the Great Recession with 6.35% is $1,348 per month. That is $16,176 per year. That is such a gigantic savings. And you wonder why I say you can't compare to today's environment to back then, because we also have low interest rates that people aren't factoring in. So where do we go from here? Bottom line is coronavirus will continue to affect housing a bit as far as the listing side, but its effect on housing is diminishing. And we're able to sell lemonade, we're able to sell houses again. Housing will continue to heat up because we're able to change and adapt to the market. And there is this tug of war going on, but it's not between buyers and sellers. It's between buyers' irrational thinking that the market should be plunging right now, like it did during the Great Recession, because we're in the midst of recession, and market realities. The market realities are it's a hot seller's market in San Diego County, folks. In 365 days, I had to revise this because we actually came back faster than we did, and I had to revise this up. San Diego County housing appreciation is projected to appreciate between 3 and 5% in 2020. Huge. Mortgage interest rates, low, and that takes a year, by the way. That's from end of the year of last year to this year. And low mortgage rate environment will continue to instigate demand. Understand that. That is what is going on here. And luxury is actually coming back faster than I thought. Luxury market is improving, but it will take more time. So, reports on housing. Subscribe by going to reportsonhousing.com. It's $15 per month or $150 per year. You get a month free, and you can actually cancel. You get two free newsletters that will come out when you sign up for free. It comes out every other week. The coupon code is Carlsbad. By the way that I talk is the way that I write, so that people understand what is going on. It's in layman's terms. It's not as lengthy as what I'm talking about. I pick and choose one lane to talk about per report. And then I go over what's going on in the active inventory. Then I go on what's in demand. And then I go on what's on the luxury market. Can I see a sample report? Yes, you can. They are there on my website, reportsonhousing.com. I do have a business page, Reports on Housing, constantly throwing up content for you to share. I have a YouTube channel, Reports on Housing, so you can see my old housing debriefs and share them to your clients who are infected with stinking thinking. And I have my housing debriefs every Tuesday and Friday at 3 o'clock. And every other week, I actually do a cocktail hour, a happy hour, and it starts at 3:30 after the broadcast for Q&A. And speaking of Q&A, I will stop sharing. I will look at everybody. And we do have questions, I see. So I will answer the questions that people have. Can people unmute themselves to ask questions, by the way?
Here, I can unmute.
They can
and we'll see how it goes. Sometimes we end up getting a lot of chatter so everybody can't hear, but I'll go ahead and unmute.
I think they can go in and unmute themselves just to do it, right? Yeah.
Can you all unmute yourselves?
Let's see if anybody can be the volunteer and unmutes themselves. They can.
Hold on. Let me see here.
Maybe not. But I'll go into I have some Q&A. If money is cheap, demand will remain. Yes, that is correct, Timothy. If money is cheap, demand will remain extremely strong. And I think that's what it will. Can't unmute, somebody said. So we can just go into the Q&A and you can ask questions. I'm going through the Q&A questions right now.
Yeah, go ahead and ask there.
Does San Diego have a strong job market to have such a high demand? When the 600 per week ends, will that bring any change in demand? No, you actually can't purchase a home if you're unemployed. That's not who is purchasing. You have to understand there are still, it is a ton of people it's 120 million people that are still right now gainfully employed. And that's 120 million people are part of that demand. And you have to understand where unemployment has hit the hardest is part-time workers and low-income wage earners. It's not necessarily the type that are in the housing market that have the ability to purchase. It does affect it to some degree, but these low interest rates actually invite more people in. So yes, unemployment will be around. There will be casualties. Right now, they're saying 25% of unemployment won't come back, which would put our unemployment rate between 5 and 6 million people. So you have to understand that we will have to work through and bring back down. But real estate with low supply and very low interest rates is going to continue to funnel a lot of demand. So I just think that with the $600 per week that ends, that unemployment, there will be a lot of people will start to go back to work and will be more eager to go back to work, and they will be incentivized to go back to work. There'll be some things down the road to address that. And I think in San Diego, you're sitting in a pretty good spot. There will be unemployed though, and that will be something that will probably take over the next couple of years to get back to where we were before. So do you break out of the markets based on price points? I do. So I do it, and I should probably get like screenshots of it, but it would take forever for you guys really see it. You should go to my reportsonhousing.com, see one of my reports. You could see how I not only break it down by city and area for San Diego, the big city of San Diego. I do it by the price ranges for all of San Diego County, and then I do it by detached and attached, the different price ranges, so that you can talk about what's going on in various price ranges. Because what's going on in certain price ranges is different. And then within the report, I also highlight the various price ranges as well within the report. So let's see. So Encinitas and Rancho Santa Fe, say, I see the more expensive communities seem to be favor buyers more. It's always been that way. Luxury behaves differently. It's the I don't really have to sell syndrome. I don't really have to sell if I don't want it. That's the way luxury has always worked. So I don't really have to sell. I'm just going to see. If I don't get what I need, then I'm out of here. They behave differently than the rest of the market. The rest of the common folk now below 1.25 million, they need to price things right, and if they need to move, they'll do what they need to do. But the luxury, they compete with so many people, and there are only so many fish. The higher you go up in price. So if you got a $4 million house, or in Rancho Santa Fe and Encinitas, you got this expensive housing, and that expensive housing, the more expensive you get, the slower it is. So you just have to pack your patience. It's a different thing. You have to have it priced right, and then put your pole in the water and wait with your tackle box. It's not going to be instantaneous. So how do you break out the markets based on price points? I see more expensive. Oh, I think I did that, right? Oops, I think I should have hit dismiss. How much does 1 month free work if you choose the $150 options? You get 13 months instead of 12. It's actually, when you sign up with the credit card and all that stuff, it does not, you do not get charged until after the first month. And then you get charged, and then it goes to 12 months from there. So that's how you get 13 months. So good question. So I screenshot some of your slides. May I share the slides? Well, I will have to get them to Kelly, and then Kelly can distribute it to everybody, right, Kelly?
Yeah.
I will do that for you. So I'll save this as a PDF. I'll fix those few slides that were broken because I don't like anything broken. I like to fix things, and I will get them to Kelly. This is so interesting and fantastic. I have been glued to this. I will watch the recording again. Good question, but I appreciate it. Will the increase in savings rates increase demand for housing down the road? It could, ultimately. There can be people that have a pocket full of money that have the ability to purchase, but if they were, it all depends upon what their employment situation looks like. So that's going to be very important going forward. So just understand that people just aren't spending like they used to. Can you repeat how we can watch your housing debrief? Did you say it was every Friday, Tuesday, Friday, 3 p.m.? Go to, you can go to @SoCalSteven. You can search me up. You can see my picture on there, but @SoCalSteven is my handle. So you go there and you won't see any other Stephen Thomas. There's only one @SoCalSteven, and that's me. So go there, and if you go to the watch, search up @SoCalSteven, and you will find me going live, or Stephen Thomas. Oops, dismiss. Website again, please. www.reportsonhousing.com. Reports, plural, on housing.com. Is this a slingshot effect where buyers are using their buying power against low supply only to be followed by huge supply fueled by those who lost jobs or income selling at the best? I get this question a lot. Actually, I'm hoping for more homes to come on the market. Absolutely, I'm absolutely praying for more homes to come on the market. It will not be a wave. Every time we think that there's going to be a wave, there's never a wave. People say wave of distress. By the way, distress is a 2021 story. If we have 60 short sales and foreclosures on the market right now today, next year we'll have 120. You won't even notice it because it will be so small. It will double, and people will talk about this, double. However, it is such a small number. So there won't be this big wave of distress. We will get people that will be able to sell their homes, and we just need more homes on the market, period. And I'm not praying for high appreciation. I don't want to even see 5% appreciation right now. I want to see it match inflation, and then we get this slow burn where we don't get these giant changes in the marketplace where we build a bubble and then it has to pop again and come back down, and then we build it again. I like to see between 2 and 3% appreciation. So I actually need to see more inventory on the market. That's actually what I am rooting for. So where is your office? We're actually in Ladera Ranch. In Ladera Ranch, if you know where that is, it's just shops at Mission Viejo Mall at Crown Valley Parkway in Mission Viejo. You go inland. It's about 3 miles inland, and that's where I am. It's where there are lots of children playing, and you drink the water and you have a baby. So what will happen to the commercial market? Oh yeah, commercial market. I actually don't track the commercial. I actually follow it, and they don't have the best stats. Somebody asked me if I could do the stats. I don't want to. I'm a third generation real estate broker. This is what my lane is. The reason I just follow the commercial market is because I have an idea of where it's going to go, and what I think is going to have to happen is people are going to have to sell strip malls, and they sell the strip malls and they keep the front, and they sell this whole land. They keep the front and they put mixed use of businesses and type of things. This is my father-in-law. Mission Viejo has a pizza place. That's what they did. They bulldozed it down, and Lennar purchased all of the lot behind it because my father-in-law owns his land, and it was a grocery store that was in a strange place. Well, what they did is they bulldozed down the whole entire thing, and they built housing. So people say we don't have enough land for housing. We do. It's in the form of commercial. And we have a lot of tilt-ups. We're not going to need as many tilt-ups. We have office space, not going to need as much office space. We have a lot of these commercial centers that we're not going to need as many. You guys all know, I know in my own backyard, there's this constant coming in and out because leases are too expensive. So now they're going to be more of a premium, and we're going to get some, hopefully some housing. So that's where I think we can go. There's going to be a hit to commercial real estate. Absolutely. Because we now can, look at this. My kids are having their last day of school today, and they're going to have summer, and I'm still going to be able to do all that I need to do here. I actually have an executive suite in Ladera Ranch. I haven't even gone into it, and neither has my cohort that I work with. We just haven't been able to go in there because we want to be mindful of the spread. I'm signing up with you, but curious on your thoughts about keeping current matters. Love keeping current matters. So you wonder the kind of places I go. I look at all different things. Keeping current matters, they keep me going as far as doing different things. They're different than me. They're more macro across the United States, and they give you content on a daily basis. KeepingCurrentMatters.com, you go to their blog, you can sign up for their blog for free. On the right-hand side, and you get it on a daily basis. You can personalize it by paying their monthly amount. That's just another great avenue for you to go down. My avenue, it drills down to Carlsbad. It drills down to detached and attached. It drills down to a lot of different things that are going on in our marketplace that may be different than other marketplaces. So I'm actually seeing the nuanced changes, and that's what I'm reporting on. I say belong to both. They're actually absolutely fantastic. There's some brokerages here in Orange County that have been around for a long time. I've been doing this for such a long time that they say there's two things that you need. You need when you get your license. Number one is belong to the MLS. Number two is get reports on housing.com. And the good thing is there's only 150 agents right now. I think it's 150, 175 agents in San Diego County that have my report. There's 2,000 that have it in Orange County. You guys have, this is a tool that other people don't have. It's a total differentiator in front of your buyers, your open houses, your clients, your sphere of influence. So she reached out to me, Kelly reached out to me, and she said, hey, I heard some things that you're doing brought me to you guys, and you guys have this advantage that other people don't have. So take advantage of that. That's exactly why it's so darn cheap. So I had a buyer of new construction in Palm Springs cancel because he expected values to be 15% lower than he went to close in July. Sellers agreed to an appraisal match, but client was so certain. Yeah, you know what? Palm Springs is a little bit different. I'm still watching it, but their numbers are actually improving. I'm surprised, but that it has everything to do with being able to afford places with very, very low interest rates. So I think that's driving it more than anything else. People said the Airbnb is going to get whacked hard. Absolutely not. Can you imagine? People said in PB and MB, I'm sure you guys have it in Carlsbad. I don't know if there's any legislation against it, but Airbnb and vacation rentals, if they had to sell, you guys would have a truckload of buyers that would want to purchase this stuff. Why? Because that's where demand is right now. So, I heard Airbnb is coming back anyways. So we'll have to watch that. Are stock market and housings aligned? No. It looks like we're mirroring the stock market, but we're not. What happened with the stock market is there were still some sectors that got heavily hit that were negative. It was the good old bread and butter sectors like the Amazons, the Facebooks, all the bread and butter stocks where people had this extra money, they needed it to park it, and investors didn't know where to stick it. They stuck it in that stuff. And now what we're seeing more recently is people are having more faith in this eventual recovery and starting to put their money into airline stocks and things like that. So that is a total separate industry. I follow real estate and I watch the stock market. I'm invested in it, but I actually don't look to see what happened to all my investment stuff, because who wanted to see something negative? I didn't want to see it. So I'll look at it now and it'll look pretty good right now, I'm sure. So, you know what? Don't really worry that much about the alignment of the stock market. We just happen to be mirroring them. Didn't happen, eh? Yes. It happened.
I want to thank you so much, Stephen. This is such great information. I know the agents are loving it. I'm actually even receiving text messages and emails as this whole thing has gone on, especially text messages telling me to check my volume at the beginning. We appreciate this. This is the kind of information that we always strive to bring to all of you, our agents. I know some of you that were on this are even new to HomeSmart. So we want to continue to bring this. We would love to do this again with Stephen. And like he said, we're kind of on the cutting edge because there's such a low number of agents here in San Diego County. So be out there and put yourself ahead of all the rest of your competition, and have all this great information. And we have it recorded. I will send it back out, so that way you can pause and take a look and really gather the information, and sign up with Stephen. Why not, bring the most value of yourself and all that information out to your clients.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Everybody go sell some real estate. Stay safe. Wear your masks. Do what's proper so we don't have that second wave. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.